You know, a rather strange thing happens when a person starts to awaken spiritually. And when I say awaken, I do not mean undergoing some grand mystical experience with angels blowing trumpets or blinding light from above. No, it is something much more subtle. It is as quiet as falling snow. It is the moment you start seeing through this game. The velvet curtain covering reality begins to be lifted even just a little. Maybe you have walked into a room and sensed something that no one else seemed to notice. A wordless tension hanging in the air thick as fog. You see the small masks people wear. You see how they slide into roles just like putting on costumes for a Shakespearean play. This person plays the role of the busy achiever. That person plays the role of the sacrificial mother. The other person plays the role of the victim of circumstance. Everyone views that performance very seriously. They cry and laugh with the role, they live and die for the role. But you look through it. You see the naked, trembling human hiding behind that thick makeup. Before, you were also a willing participant in this dance. You also wore masks. You also cared about fame, social status, bank account balances. You used to worry sleeplessly about what others thought of you. But then, everything changed. Some event, or simply the maturation of the soul, broke the eggshell. You woke up and now cannot go back to sleep. You are like Neo in the Matrix after taking the red pill. You realize that most of what you were taught was real and important is actually just a complex story. It is just collective fictions useful for maintaining society, but extremely fragile. Money, national borders, laws, fame, they are not physical laws like gravity. They exist only because we agree to believe they exist. When you pierce through those fictions, the spell starts to break. You realize money is just symbols on paper or numbers on a screen having no intrinsic value. Time is just a structure of the mind to measure change, not a river flowing straight. Social success is nothing more than a gilded mask people try to cling to in order to cover the fear of death. You are no longer hypnotized by the game. The animal trainer's whistle no longer scares you. And that very freedom makes the first danger and pain of awakening. You cannot unsee what you have seen. Knowledge changes you irreversibly. Once you know Santa Claus is not real, you cannot believe again. Now, you are the only sober person at a party where everyone else is drunk. They are laughing, dancing, breaking things in a drunken stupor while you stand there holding a glass of water, looking at everything with understanding mixed with pity. You are still in the play, but you remember that you are acting. You still go to work, still pay bills, still make small talk, but a vast distance has been created. And this remembrance, this clarity is the beginning of a profound strangeness. You have crossed an invisible threshold, and there is no way back to the old house. Why does awakening make things no longer like before? Why does it bring a feeling of loss more than joy? Because it strips away the ability to enjoy life innocently. Alan Watts once remarked that the price to pay for awareness is the loss of unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is a grace. When you do not know you are happy, think of a child watching magic. Their eyes light up with extreme wonder when the rabbit is pulled out of the hat. They completely believe in the magic. The world to them is a magical, mysterious, and surprising place. Now think about you, the one who knows the trick. You see the secret compartment at the bottom of the hat. You see the rabbit hidden in the sleeve. You recognize the magician's misdirection. You might appreciate his skillful technique, but the magic has vanished. The wonder is dead. This is what happens to conscious people with almost everything in life. You have lost the ability to watch TV without seeing the programs programmed to manipulate emotions and sell products. You see the hidden messages, the social prejudices cleverly planted. You have lost the ability to participate in small talk without hearing the hidden meanings behind the words. You hear the hidden bragging in humble words. You hear the jealousy in congratulatory words. You hear the insecurities, the ego protecting itself, the fear of abandonment vibrating in every sentence. You lose the ability to feel genuine excitement about achievements that society says are important. Buying a new car, getting promoted, being in the newspaper, all suddenly become bland. Because you have seen through the arbitrary nature of those metrics. You realize that climbing to the peak of glory is just standing on a lonely mountaintop. You have lost the ability to believe in the myths that everyone else believes blindly. The story that hard work sacrificing health will guarantee happiness and success. The story that finding a perfect romantic love will erase all loneliness and make you complete. The story that shopping possessing material things will fill the void in the soul. When these stories, which are the fuel keeping the social machine running and keeping most people motivated to wake up every morning, become transparent to you, you fall into crisis. You wonder what all this means. Why do we have to race? Why do we have to fight? The old shadow game no longer works. The old sedatives have lost their effect. But you haven't learned how to see in daylight yet. You are between two worlds, a world that has died and a world not yet born. It is your very freedom that makes those still stuck in the game feel insecure. The awakened person becomes a mirror that others cannot bear to look into. Your presence is an uncomfortable reminder of what they are trying to bury. Your peace reflects the chaos in their minds. Your stillness reflects their insecurity, their need to always be noisy. Your authenticity reminds them of their own pretense, their cheap compromises. They will not thank you for that. They will react like a defense mechanism of the ego. They will question your choices. Why are you no longer ambitious? Why are you so eccentric? They will say you have changed for the worse. They say you have become distant, cold, unapproachable, arrogant. They will test you. They will intentionally provoke you. Try to drag you into old arguments to see if you are real or just pretending to be noble. If you get angry, they will gloat. See you are just a normal person. They will gossip and make up stories about you to lower your value in order to protect their value. And this is the biggest challenge. You cannot pretend to be who you no longer are just to make others feel comfortable. You have tried. You have tried to laugh and talk fake. Lie tried to care about trivial matters, but it exhausts you. It is like trying to stuff a giant into children's clothes. The old suit no longer fits. It tears apart, exposing flesh, and that embarrasses both you and others. Many awakened people feel completely demotivated. They wake up and no longer want to do anything. Don't want to make money. Don't want to conquer. Don't want to change the world. This makes them extremely worried. They think they are depressed, lazy, or ruined. They think something is wrong with me. But let me tell you, this is the most natural, healthiest thing in the world. Look deep into the nature of motivation in the ordinary world. Conventional motivation is actually just a subtle form of running away from pain. It is driven by deep fear. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of being a meaningless person. Fear of poverty. Fear of being despised. Fear of being left behind. All efforts, ambition, striving are based on a core assumption. You as you are not enough. You are a defective puzzle piece that needs to be filled by external achievements. But when you awaken, you see through this game. You discover a shocking truth. You are the universe playing the game of being you. You are not a drop of water separate from the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop of water. The false premise of separation, of lack of incompleteness, has collapsed completely. And when the foundation collapses, the building built on it also collapses. All your previous motivations were just efforts to run away from yourself to become something other than yourself. It is like you are trying to run very fast to catch up with your own shadow. Now you realize you are the one creating that shadow. Running to chase it becomes meaningless. It is like trying to convince a person who just realized they are already a dollar millionaire to keep collecting scrap metal to earn a few pennies. They will ask, for what? What is the point? The change is not just losing external joy or losing motivation to work. It is the collapse of internal psychological structures, the pillars supporting our identity. Awakening feels like losing everything, because you are truly losing everything. But losing everything? False. You lose faith in the continuity and solidity of your own self. The ego that you have painstakingly built for so many years, the name, title, past personal story, turns out to be just a loose structure. You realize the thing you call I is nothing but a collection of thoughts, memories, and sensations held loosely together by repetitive habits and beliefs. It is like a whirlpool on a river. The whirlpool looks like a fixed object. It has a shape, it has a position. But essentially there is no whirlpool water separate from river water. The whirlpool is just the swirling action of the river for a moment. When the river stops flowing, the whirlpool disappears. If there is no solid ego, then who are you? This question falls into the void. If your identity is just a story told over and over again, then what happens to the things that used to be important to that story? The goals, the grudges, the pride attached to the character I suddenly become as illusory as smoke. The ground beneath your feet disappears. You are falling freely. This is why awakening feels like a death. You are experiencing the death of the ego while the physical body is still alive. You are losing the imaginary foundation you once stood on to fall into infinite truth. Alan Watts, with his sharp wisdom, once pointed out 3 fundamental lies that most people believe, and they dissolve like smoke when you awaken. The lie of separation. The belief that you are a tiny, lonely entity encased in a layer of skin, separate from the vast universe out there. You are a stranger observer in a hostile world. This lie is the root of all suffering, all conflict, all war. You feel lonely because you believe you are cut off from the source. When this lie dissolves, you realize you are never separate. You are connected to everything, like roots connected to the earth, like lungs connected to the air. The lie of permanence. The belief that you are a fixed entity, a noun, a statue. You believe that the me of today is the same as the me of yesterday. But the truth is, you are a constantly changing process, a verb. You are flowing, changing, existing, rather than a thing that exists. You are not a walker, you are the act of walking itself. The lie of deficiency. The belief that you are fundamentally flawed, that you are broken, that you need to be fixed, educated, reformed to become worthy. This is the lie that society, religion, education planted in you to easily control. So you feel lacking and have to shop, have to obey. Awakening reveals a blinding truth. You are inherently complete. You are perfect in your imperfection. Even the very thought that you need to be fixed is the only thing that needs fixing. When you see all these things, the first reaction is usually a missionary urge. You want to shake your loved ones by the shoulders. You want to scream, "Wake up! Everyone is dreaming. No need to suffer like that." There is an intense urge to share, to remove the seriousness in others' games, to liberate them. But here is the bitter lesson you learn very quickly. No one wants to be awakened. They love their dream. Even if it is a nightmare, at least it is familiar. Speaking about the truth cannot be conveyed in words. Language is designed for the world of separation, not for the world of unity. You can whisper to them about the majestic beauty of the mountain, but until they climb it themselves, sweating and crying, they cannot know how thin and fresh the air on the mountain is. If you speak out the naked truth, you will be seen as a killjoy, a crank, an arrogant person. They will not understand you. Worse, they will turn your awareness into a new belief system. They will turn your words into dogma. They create a new religion, a new set of rules to follow, instead of directly experiencing the truth. They will worship the finger pointing at the moon without seeing the moon. They do not want to know the truth. They seek comfort, soothing certainty. And your clarity, your uncertainty, threatens that false comfort. Therefore, you must learn a new art, the art of mystery. You learn to keep the truth hidden in your heart like a precious gem wrapped in a rough cloth. You stop trying to persuade. You stop trying to connect at the intellectual level. Your silence becomes necessary and sacred, because you know that explanation weakens the self and trivializes the truth. When you see things are no longer like before, You step into the most painful and lonely phase, the void. Do not be afraid of it. In that void, you might feel lost, abandoned, meaningless. It feels like you are drifting in the universe with no anchor. Everything you used to rely on for a sense of identity and purpose is now revealed to be empty. No old passions, no new passions yet. No old friends, no new friends yet. This is sometimes called the dark night of the soul by mystics. The awakened person often quietly steps back, retreats to the edge, choosing silence instead of noise. They withdraw from parties, gatherings, social networks. This is not weakness, or antisocial behavior, or depression. It is energy conservation. Your nervous system is being upgraded, and it becomes extremely sensitive. It cannot stand the crudeness of low vibration anymore. When you are awake, you become like a super-sensitive antenna. You feel the psychological noise of others, suppressed anxiety, hidden anger, covered shame, things spilling into the environment like invisible weather gas. You walk into a room and feel the weight of those emotions pressing on your shoulders. This is unimaginably exhausting. Withdrawal is necessary to purify, to integrate your shadow and find the authentic self. It is the phase where the caterpillar must dissolve completely into a liquid form in the cocoon before it can restructure into a butterfly. If the caterpillar fears this disintegration process, it will never fly. In that ultimate solitude, you discover treasures. Silence is not empty as you thought. It is full of life. It vibrates, it whispers, it contains all potential. You realize you do not need all the things society says you need to be happy. You do not need recognition. You do not need constant entertainment. You just need to exist. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the sun on your skin. Drink a sip of water. And that simple existence is enough. It is so complete it makes you want to cry. You find a still center inside an impregnable shelter, something never touched by poverty, or wealth, success, or failure, life or death. You cannot go back to unconsciousness. The door has closed behind you. But you also cannot stand on the sidelines forever to judge and alienate life. That is the trap of the spiritual ego. The true transition is this: stop using your awareness as an excuse to separate yourself from life. Start using it as a way to participate more fully, more deeply. But this time, participate as a player, not a pawn. Participate more compassionately, more playfully, more lightly. Knowing life is a stage does not mean refusing to act and sitting with folded arms in the wings. It means stepping into the spotlight and acting with more grace. You act the role of father, mother, employee, friend, but with absolute freedom. You act with more love because you know you are not bound by that role. If the play is tragic, you are not destroyed. If the play is comic, you laugh louder than anyone. Seeing through the illusion is not to escape the dream, but to love it fully, knowing it is a dream. This is learning to lucid dream right in the middle of the day. The purpose is not to stare forever at the curtain to expose it, but to step onto the stage and dance. When things are no longer like before, it means you are being invited to learn the hardest lesson, the art of letting go. The more you let go, the more life gives you. You let go of the need to control. You let go of the need to be understood. You let go of the need to be right. You stop trying to create artificial joy. You stop trying to fix yourself, improve yourself, motivate yourself with the whip of will. This is not passivity or giving up. It is finding the subtle difference between effortful action, coming from fear, and effortless action, coming from love and flow. Muddy water clears itself when we stop stirring. Mud settles to the bottom if we let it be. When you stop struggling to force success according to your will, the solution automatically appears from infinite wisdom. The greater intelligence of life starts manifesting through you, using you as an instrument. This change, the feeling that things are no longer like before, is essentially the greatest liberation a human can experience. You have lost beautiful illusions, but you find the truth that can never be lost. When you lose all the things that seemed essential, role, story, achievement, identity, you discover that your true nature was never those things. Those things are just clothes. You are the one wearing clothes. You are the vast ocean, not the wave bobbing on the surface. The wave can break on the shore, can rise high or fall low, but the ocean remains there deep and eternal. What remains in the end? When everything is stripped away, what is left? Not something new to replace what was lost. Not a new philosophy or a new religion, but realizing what has always been present, always there quietly observing beneath all layers of illusion. It is simple presence, pure awareness, existence itself. You become free, truly free. Free to love without the desperation to be loved back because you are love. Free to work and create without needing it to define your value because you are complete. Free simply to live, breathe, walk, without any lofty reason or purpose. This is the ultimate paradox of awakening that Alan Watts always reminded us of. When you realize there is nowhere to go and nothing to achieve, you are finally free to go anywhere and achieve anything. When you no longer need anything, the whole world belongs to you. When you have tasted the real, the fake loses all flavor, and you no longer crave them. Live this life lightly. Live without being burdened by making everything important or serious. Live as if the universe is playing a piece of music through you. Because the meaning of life is not to reach a destination. The meaning of life is just to be alive right now, right here. And your awakening, your peace, is the most priceless gift to this sleeping and suffering world. Wake up. But don't try to wake up. Just open your eyes. Liberation from the game brings the freedom for you to truly play for the first time with a smile on your lips and lightness in your heart.